Xamarin.
Oh, excellent.
On it's the DevOps day, so I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm talking about on DevOps, but I'll try and figure it out once I've been evolved and found some bits to talk about. But it was a good one, because Claire emailed me at 6 a.m. saying, "Gary, phone me as soon as you can."
Yeah.
I phoned her. She says, "I volunteered you. I forgot to tell you." I'm publishing it today. Hope you can make it.
Right, let's try Jason. Big head, little head calling.
Hello.
Ah, there we go.
Hello.
It's
hello.
Little head then.
Little head.
It's a little head, Jason, not the big head one. Because your many Skype accounts.
Yes. Yeah, too many.
I've worked out which one it is then, but not that I'll remember for next week anyway.
I need a universal Skype account.
If only. Right, let me send this link out because we're ready to go. Richard's already in the chat room. Which is good. Count. Okay, link is out. Jason, Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jason.
We lost him already.
Don't say we've lost you already. Yes, he's gone all. Oh, Skype's crashed. Oh no, it's not. It says not again. I saw that message then. Okay, let's try and get Jason back. Oh, I guess his machine's crashed or something like that. Let's get him back on.
To say, but I'm not sure mine will actually last that long. It's been having a few issues.
Okay, let's add him back in. Well, I'll say hello to Richard in the chat room. He's just a bit early to the party, but
never too early, Richard.
And it's a lovely warm evening as well. I've got the window open tonight.
Yeah, as you saw from my picture I posted earlier, it's been a lovely day out over here. I took my laptop and walked down to the lake and sat outside programming.
Oh, he says I'll try and restart. Yeah, it's actually it's quite. On Sunday I was over at Silverstone and it was when the sun was out. It was really warm and it was lovely, and then all of a sudden it would go really cold.
You can tell we're British, can't you? Talk about the weather.
Talk about the weather, yeah.
I'm surprised we don't feature the weather app every week.
Yeah.
The updates, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, we've got app news to talk about. We've got Windows 10 news to talk about, not just the weather. We've got an email as well, which I shall dig out. So, yes, we've got plenty to talk about. We've got no Windows PC build for a couple of weeks. You can probably explain to why, but we have got phone builds. In fact, 2 of them since last recording, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. And not running Redstone on my Lumia 950 XL.
Yes, we'll explain that one later.
Explain that one. So let's start with what we haven't got. So we haven't got a PC build. Why haven't we had a PC build?
Good question. I'm not totally certain. I mean, I know we had build in the middle, and there's a lot. We had the release, and they put a release out soon after build with a lot of the features in, and said, we've got a problem with the mobile builder, so we need to fix that before we can send it out. So basically, the mobile builds we've had have been catch up with what was on the desktop build, except for this new one, which seems to have a few extra things which aren't on desktop build. So I'm hoping there's desktop build coming soon. But I guess it's a kind of case of where resources are concentrated.
But and also, what does Jason say? Can you remove my something? Remove my account from the group. Okay, let's just try and get Jason back on. How do we remove him from the group when you can't see the group?
Everything's a challenge.
Yeah, let's just try and call him back in. Which we decided was Littlehead, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get him back on.
Which can confuse our listeners completely, but there we go.
Yes.
Hello.
There you go.
That's what it was doing last time, isn't it? Where I kept dropping the sound.
Yes. Well, we'll carry on then. Why we'll go back. So we were just saying we've got no PC builds. I think the official reason was that they found a bug with PCI, wasn't it? That
Well, yeah, they did say that.
so that's the reason why we haven't got a PC build. But we have had 2 mobile builds in the last 2 weeks. So tonight we got Wednesday as we record this 14327. But before that, and the build I want to talk about first is 14322.
Was that last week's one?
Yes, that was last week's one. So, as I predicted,
Yeah, as you did.
yeah, Jason was. Yes, you were timing me, weren't you? Oh, it looks like he's gone again.
we should time Jason how long he can actually stay in the conversation.
Doesn't he need to go on Big Skype? Wasn't that what's fixed it last time?
He's figured it out, he thinks.
Ooh.
There you go.
Okay, well, let's see. What's he said? I think he's figured it out. Okay, well, we'll try and get back. So, yeah, Jason was pushing me last week because I was very confident with my prediction last week, wasn't I, about a new PC build? And I'd seen that there was a build on the way, but that's the one that got blocked by the PCI issue. So let's see if I can get Jason back in. It's going to take me ages to edit all these bits out now.
Don't bother, just leave them in. Highly entertaining for the users to see how dodgy edges in these latest versions of Windows 10 and so like Skype.
A word of advice: don't close the Skype video app.
So every time you close the Skype video app, it cuts you off.
Yes.
It's like those months ago when every time I minimised it closed it, shut me off.
Yeah, I think it was. something similar. So I think I know what not to do now.
Yeah, don't touch anything; it's all working.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. Where were you?
So I was saying, phone build. So last week I was confidently predicting a PC and a phone build, which you were then reminded me of on Twitter.
Yes.
But we know why I didn't get a PC build, but we did get a mobile build, and I thought I'd take the plunge. In fact, my 950 XL has been on the fast ring for quite a while now, for a good few months. So I installed 14322 on my phone, and well, let me tell you about the changes in it, and then we'll talk about how experiences. Did anybody else got 14322 on? Jason, did you try it?
No, you're the only brave one.
Yeah, Gary?
you are the only brave one.
Okay. So I'll talk about some of the changes because there's a lot of changes, and that's usually a warning sign, isn't it? That when you get a lot of changes, that's the potential for issues because there's new features in it. And I'm not having a go at Microsoft. That's fine. There's no issues with that. You go on the red ring. The red ring, it should be called the red ring. The fast ring at your own peril. Yeah. Which is the risk I was taking. So first changes you get within notifications. And it actually works quite well. Is notifications are grouped together. So rather than getting, say, a mail at one and a Twitter one and then a Tweetium and then a Facebook, all the notifications are now grouped together. So I'd show this for anybody on the live stream or watching on the YouTube video. So this is my 1520, which is running Redstone. They're grouped together. So I've got the Tweetium ones and the Outlook ones and then the store ones. Right. And you can see all those on there. So that looks quite good. So the groups are the notifications are grouped together, which I actually quite like. I think that looks quite good. The other changes there's also you can get an image with them as well. And this didn't always work for me, but you can have what Microsoft call a hero image. What's a hero image?
It's a big image, basically. It's something which I don't know. It makes a splash.
Yeah. So I suppose it's like a large image with a notification. So if you
I mean, I guess the prime example would be news. The news app where you've got a picture with the headline and a picture of what the headline's about.
Yeah.
Image.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got Action Center all grouped together, which I thought looks quite good. And you can even have.
So I'm bursting into laughter because here I've got some people with me at the moment. Someone's just said, and of course it could be the TV app where you've got the list of TV programs and you've got the picture of the Flash there.
Yes, it's a hero, a superhero image. That's quite good. So yes, all these things are grouped together, and I think they look a lot better how the notifications are laid out now. And you do notice when you go back to the older builds that it doesn't look quite as nice. You can also set priorities for notifications as well, like you could on the PC build. So you can have normal, high, or top. So that sort of dictates where they get positioned in the list. So I think you could have like Cortana at the top, and then maybe your alarms, and then your email above Twitter or whatever you choose to have as well. Also in there was you could now rearrange. You know the Action Center icons at the top. You can now rearrange those. So where you've got the 4, or 5. You can, when you do the expand, you can now change those completely to any order you want, which is quite good. So if you you can have them exactly set how you want them. You just drag and drop them in the settings, which I thought was quite good. It's quite a nice way of being able to position them so where you can remember. They always seem to be in a different place on my devices, so you always have to look for them rather than sort of just jumping straight to them, which I thought was quite good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of, that's the way you reorganize live tiles, isn't it? So it kind of makes sense to have that have that same kind of experience.
And also the settings app has had a bit of an overhaul as well. The individual settings now have their own icons as well, which looks a lot better. And they've moved some things around. So you've got the battery icon is there in one place, and you've got all the sort of battery settings together, and you can do things like background priority usage, like you can do in the PC builds as well. So they've moved a lot of things around on that. What else have got? Cortana. You can set Cortana. You can create Cortana notifications through the share. So you could have a picture and you can share it like you would do with the normal share icon, and share it to Cortana and create a reminder of it, or an email, or whatever you want. So it's really easy to create reminders in Cortana now just by sharing something. So you can share, maybe you're browsing the page and you can share it and remind to read this later or something like that, which I thought was pretty good. One thing I really like as well is the media controls on the lock screen.
Yes, yeah, that's much better.
Yeah,
and I think that was the way. Was it Windows Phone 7? I think that's the way it worked back in the day.
I can't remember that far back. Yeah, it makes sense, because whenever you want to pause your music, currently you turn your phone on, you have to like hit the volume control, don't you, to bring up the notification, and then you can pause it. So I think that's much better as well. Also, what do you think about the getting rid of the back button in the lock screen? Replacing it with the camera. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. Back button on the lock screen.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I can show this. When you won't see my video, but when you've got your phone with the lock screen, so you know where it's got the pin number bit, or it's got the looking for you bit, whatever. If you've got soft keys like I have on the 950, you've got back, Windows, and search.
Of course, yes, the on-screen keys as opposed to the physical.
And if I do it on the on one with the new builds, it's the camera button.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Although I'm not a fan of using an area and then having a multifunction, if you know what I mean. It's kind of, I think, particularly those kind of master buttons, I think in my mind should stay the same, but I'd imagine that's kind of a personal preference.
Yeah. So it makes it a little bit quicker. I mean, if you've got a dedicated camera button like I have, then it doesn't really matter. But I guess on some of those smaller devices, then it's probably worth doing.
Yeah.
You can now connect a USB adapter to the Continuum Hub. So if you've got one on your desk and you don't want to use the phone's wireless, you can actually use a LAN port, which I guess gives you a bit extra speed and reliability, whatever.
Yes.
Maybe better, especially if you're remote desktop onto your development machine, Gary. You've got that sort of reliability of a LAN connection. Have we lost Gary? I think we have.
Maybe he's close to Skype video up.
Yeah, Gary, get closer.
No, what I've done is press the mute button.
Oh, well, that's an old school error.
That's very old school. Yeah, that would work really well, actually. Think about that, the remote desktop.
Yeah.
So, especially with Ethernet, because I can get very high speed in some areas I'm at. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yes, thanks, Gary. Yes, thank you. Moving on.
Yeah, we don't talk about wireless speeds. So yeah, that was quite good. And they've done some other things like better copy and paste, better tab management. They've said there was quite a lot of fixes.
There was lots of fixes.
But to be honest, I have to say I found the experience a lot worse than the previous build. So the previous build I was running didn't have any major issues. I'll give you what Microsoft say the known issues were on this one. Language and speech packs were unable to download and will show as errors, but I didn't see that one. Crash with the camera app and go to the camera roll. I did see that. Issue where you may see duplicate apps under all apps showing as pending despite being installed. Yes, and this is still a big problem. In fact, if I show the screen my 1520, it says I've got 20. The app count for available downloads, new apps or whatever, is at 21, even though there's no apps to be downloaded and there's no actions on them, but it lists them all.
Yeah, I've seen that. And
it lists them as pending when you look at the all apps list. So if you take the BBC iPlayer radio app, it's there once that I can use and there's also a pending one as well. So it's a bit of a visual bug. It doesn't cause any issues, but it's a bit of a bug. So those were some of their known issues, but I found personally I found a lot more issues with this one. For a start off, tweeting doesn't work, and I think Microsoft updated the post to say that it doesn't work. You couldn't share any photos. So you couldn't share obviously you couldn't share tweeting because tweeting doesn't work. I couldn't share to Twitter, Instagram. I think Facebook would work, but nothing else would work. It was very hit and miss. I found that the phone was getting very, very hot. Now, my 950 never gets hot, but this was getting really hot and really fast battery drain. There's an issue with the glance screen as well. So I don't know how you use yours, but I use the glance screen as on a Qi charging stand at night with the time on it. So it's my alarm clock. So I can, and there's no setting for that for the glance screen to be on when there's power applied. So either I've got to have glance screen on all the time or it goes off, which was a bit of a pain. So I had to turn it on all the time so that I could find out what time it was. And then at some point during the night, it crashed and it didn't display the time, so I didn't have a clue what time it was. So I had to power the phone up to check in case it overslept, But so that was another issue as well. So, and I had problems with apps crashing a lot. Edge, Groove Music, it wouldn't unlock properly. The red light for the camera, it would just stay on. So you've unlocked the phone, done whatever you want. You turn the phone off with the power button, and the red light would sit there glowing as though it's trying to look for you. And when it's not. The UI is not showing that either. And I think that would cause battery drain as well. So really, it was a bit of a mess, my 950. So what I did is, to be fair, I'll do a PC or a phone reset because this has had a number of builds applied to it. So I did a phone reset and it was no better. In fact, I say it was worse after I'd done a reset. I couldn't even get any apps I couldn't get photo sharing or anything to work. So then I use the recovery tool, put it back onto the standard build of 10586 with the preview. What was it? Was it preview ring, isn't it? And that's all working very nice now. So my 950 is now on the preview release and working perfectly, but no redstone on it. So that's the perils of
yes.
of testing. Now, I have to say, it's relatively easy to get it back. It's not too bad, because that's the one thing you can get your apps installed. It's just a bit of a pain when you've got authentication apps, and I think I've talked about this before. You've got to go and reset them up as well. But anyway, it was too much for me, and so I'm back on the earlier build. And actually, I got an email from Rob Green, and he said he had a similar problem with the glance settings. What you can do, if you can use the old style glance settings, which is still in the extras, and then that would work as long as you didn't touch the settings in the new style one, which I think is actually a workaround that does work. So, and he said he found that the new build, the Redstone build, was more polished. So, I think Rob's right. the new build is much better if you can live with it, but the sharing things are just, I couldn't live with. Especially on Sunday, I was down at Silverstone and I wanted to share pictures, and there was just no way of sharing pictures from at all to any app. I was trying Instagram, Twitter, nothing would work. So back on the release preview.
Yeah, very wise. I think. I mean, certainly looking through some of the release notes, that it's still quite early days, isn't it? I know looking for a summer release, but I think for now it's still early days.
Yeah, so that was my experiences. You can check out the hands-on video, which just show off all the new features. And like I said, I do like them. I think definitely it's the right direction. It's just that it wasn't stable enough for me. So have a look at my video, which just show off all the new stuff. And obviously since then, though, we've got a new build as well.
Yeah, they're coming thick and fast at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. So tonight we've got a new build, which is 14327. So I guess you've not had a chance to try this out. Have you seen what's fixed there or what's new in it?
Yes. I saw Gabe's post, and I think that he also mentioned that unfortunately they found an issue with the desktop build. So again, we've just got the mobile build. I think there might be maybe one coming later in the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, the latest one, which is, as I say, 14327, which introduces the combined kind of what they're calling the messaging everywhere. It sounds a bit like Windows everywhere.
Yeah.
So which I think Skype made an announcement shortly before, didn't they, with an update to their UWP app?
Yeah. So because they've taken some of the Skype functionality out of the messaging app, haven't they, in this build?
Yes, as it's kind of transitioning away to the universal Windows platform app for Skype.
So that was the main change, I think, wasn't it? That you can, and you think you've got to enable having you send text on all my devices, and I think on the PC you can do send through. So I think on your PC you nominate which device is going to send you text. So I might have to swap the SYNC cards around to give this a test. But I really like the idea of being able to send the text from my PC anyway. And I do like it when notifications from your phone come up on the PC as well. So I think that's a really good idea. It's kind of almost a handoff thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, you talk about me being tempted into installing the Redstone builds onto my Surface on my phone, but that's the sort of feature that would probably tempt me, to be honest, just having that integration between the devices.
Yeah, Gary, is this something you're interested in?
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's the one thing. As Jason said, that's such a good idea. I mean, I do actually quite like the fact that even now I get missed call notifications on the PC.
Yeah.
That sort of has been quite a bonus for me, especially running an office from home effectively. So it's a good thing. It's certainly not a bad thing.
Yeah, my kids like this because they are a pain for not answering the phone, and then they get the missed call notifications on the PC while they're watching YouTube videos, and they think, "Oh, better find out what my dad wants."
Yeah, which is cool, isn't it? That's useful.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good feature, and I think I'm going to give that a test and have a look at that. Other than that, there's not a lot of new features in this build, is there?
No, it's mainly bug fixes, isn't it? I think I don't think we're quite at that point where they're just focusing on bug fixes at the moment. But yeah, it's mainly kind of fixes, trying to, I guess, encourage more and more people to utilize the build.
Yeah, that's right.
Although there's still a few big kind of known issues with Tweetium not working, and crashes with the camera app, and also duplicated apps in the All Apps view, showing as installing even though they're actually installed and working.
Yeah, and that was the problem we had last week, and it's still there. And I've got this build installed on my 1520 now, and photo sharing now works, although you can't share to Tweetium because Tweetium doesn't work at all. But the normal Twitter app, you can share photos with that, and Instagram and Facebook, whatever. So I think this is probably I could probably live with this a bit more now, but I think for now I'll leave it on the 1520. I just might swap the SYNs to test the text messaging features, but it's not quite there yet, is it? This new messaging thing, I should say as well. Are we going to need a new PC build for this?
I thought the components were already in the PC build, but it was waiting on the mobile build.
That's what was my understanding as well. So.
Yeah, just looking for, because it was Windows 10 Insider Preview 14316.
Oh yeah,
And
there
I
you go.
thought
Yeah,
that
I see it,
included,
yeah. Download messages through.
but it needed the mobile build, which was the one that they actually held back in the end.
Yeah, send texts from here and sync text messages across all Windows devices. That's ticked on my box, but I haven't got the box that says send messages through.
I wonder if that's an update, maybe a store update just to the app.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I'll do a store check on that as well. And then on my phone, so it's a messaging everywhere. Let's see if I can find that setting. So that's in Sony phone. Send text on all my devices. I think I've got that one enabled. Let's go quick check.
I'm just looking actually on the announcement for 14316. It does say more to come on this when the experience is live. So it may well be that obviously, as features get developed, that it now doesn't work with 14316, and it does need a more up-to-date build to get it fully working. So I'd imagine that post announcing 14327, they were probably expecting to ship the desktop build.
Yeah.
At the same time, so it may well be that there is some crossover there. So hopefully, maybe the team can get a more up-to-date build or even a fixed 14327. Because I know they released a update to the slow ring, didn't they? For
yes, they did. Yeah, for the previous the first Redstone slow ring release. Yeah.
Yeah. For 14295. So it may well be that maybe they'll be able to fix 14327 for the desktop.
Yeah, I can't see that syncing option that they had in the post. So I'll check that offline, not keep us all hanging on that. And I'll see if I can get that working for a hands-on video. Otherwise, it will be a quite short hands-on video because there's not really anything else new to go. But hopefully, we'll get a PC build as well this week, because I feel like the last PC build was a little bit rough as well, and maybe a few fixes, and that would be good.
Yeah, actually, I can see in that blog post that the Windows messaging version needs to be 3.16.11004.0. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that looks like it's the same version on phone and on desktop. So you probably in your messaging app you'll be able to see what version you've got.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
In messaging settings, rather. Sorry.
Yes, in messaging settings, I've got version 2 on my, and that's on my FastRing device.
Yeah, so it may well be then that as it may well have been working in that previous desktop build, but that the engineers moved on, and so.
I found the settings on the phone as well. It's in the setting of the actual app, messaging app, and it's just the option is send text on all my Windows devices just set on. So yeah, so maybe you're right. There'll be a build for an updated messaging app. But do you think on the FastRing, then that would be the one to have that?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll check that out. So talking of, so that's all the Windows 10 build news we've got anyway. But talking of Universal Windows apps, as we were, the Groove Music is now a universal app.
Yeah, I can finally talk about this.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
So I actually had a demonstration of this last year when I was out at the MVP Summit.
Blimey.
So they were working on it then, but I'm really impressed with this. I mean, we've basically had a Windows application platform version, Universal Windows platform version for the phone for a while now, but they obviously hadn't brought that across to desktop. Quite sure why, but they hadn't done. But the Office, this means we get all those enhancements we've been getting on the phone, like gapless playback.
Yeah, that was a big one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a big thing. I think it's that we haven't had been able to do that, and there's just quite a few other fixes as well. But it does. I mean, have you played with this much, Ian?
Yeah, I've used it quite a bit, and it's just the same as the phone now, which is much better. I think it was a gapless playback was one of them, and the app speed seems a little bit better, and apart from that, I really couldn't tell a lot of difference. But yeah, it's the same app now. I think.
Well, I think the speed is actually the thing that's really got me. I mean, I've got a huge collection, and before it was a bit of a dog on the PC. Now you really don't notice you're actually
changing tracks or shooting around. It's just very, very fluid and images come up instantly, and it doesn't take any time at all. What really impressed me is actually how quick a time it took to re-index my collection. I know they said amazing improvements to that, but that was vastly quicker than they had been before. So yeah, I really like this. I think it's some very nice. It's not many new features, but it just seems all to hang together better than it did previously.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some other things they've added, like there's no dependency on Xbox Live account and things like that as well. So I think the whole thing is better, and a universal app, just means it all plays together nicely. I think that's what one app that can go on everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of subtle things like the playlist structure's been changed slightly in the way it displays, and it just feels better.
Yeah,
so to me, generally.
Yeah, and talking of the universal apps, there's also a VLC app on the way.
Yes. Yep. At last.
Yeah, and the great thing about the VLC app is it means it'll work on the Xbox.
Yes.
And not just the Xbox, so it'll work Windows 10, mobile, Xbox, and they've said it'll work on the Raspberry Pi as well as the IoT version.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So for a little 20 odd quid, you could. I mean, that's one of the things I was toying with. Looking at doing some kind of remote media player, but as we discussed, the IoT version, it has got quite a lot of sort of APIs missing in the sort of the big version of Windows. So if they've managed to get this working, I think that's pretty impressive. And you can stick that on your TV or just get the audio and use it as an audio player, and you've got a nice little media player there for 20 odd quid. VLC will play anything.
Yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, I was just thinking whether the new Groove app would work on there as well, but probably lacking some of those APIs.
Yeah, interested. Did you see as well that they said that the universal version will only run on Redstone builds on the phone?
Yes.
So why would that be?
I'm guessing they're using some of the new Redstone APIs. There are some background playback changes,
right,
in that API. So that's most likely what it's doing. Which, as I say, is interesting because it has been a universal Windows platform app for a while now on the phone, but obviously this is taking it one step further.
Yeah, I think the phone one was actually a Windows 8 one.
Yeah, it might have been a universal app platform you're actually thinking about. Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah. So I thought that's really good. So we're going to have VLC available for all devices that are running Windows 10, including HoloLens. Like when they get their hands on it, anyway.
It's cool. Well, that's actually relatively straightforward to get your Windows 10 app running for HoloLens. I know quite a few people have done that already.
Yeah. So that was all the good news stuff about apps. The bad news, a bit of a strange one, is that Sonos has said they're not going to develop a universal app for Windows 10.
Yes.
Boo.
Boo. It's really weird.
I did have some thoughts on this because, I mean, it's disappointing, but I would imagine that eventually the desktop app hopefully would get ported. I can't remember the bridge. You can help me out here, Gary. The bridge for desktop apps into the store.
Yep. I can't remember the code name.
Centennial.
Centennial, that's the one.
That's it. Yeah, thank you, Ian. I mean, I'd imagine eventually that could end up in the store that way. But yeah, it is disappointing. But I also thought, I mean, in some ways, I think with the Sonos devices, they're not exactly cheap. And I know you can kind of argue whether, they're ignoring 230 million devices using Windows 10, but I wonder of those, this is purely speculation, but my thoughts are that Sonos are really kind of more for you kind of people that would own Apple devices anyway, or even, maybe Android devices rather than being, Windows users.
I don't know. I know what you mean. But as a Sonos user, I have, I'm probably not normal case, but I have way more Windows devices that I want to use it on.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because I know Windows users, but I would say about 90% of the Sonos users I know are Windows users.
Yeah, but it is that, again, though, the technical kind of circles that we run in that makes it that way rather than your general consumer. I'm just thinking, I'm not saying everyone's got these, but if you're spending £600 on a soundbar or £600 on a subwoofer, you're probably more likely to be an iPad owner than a $99 or £99 Windows tablet owner.
Yeah. But you might well be a £2,000 Surface Book owner.
Yes, that's a very good point. In which case, run the desktop app.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my ultimate point is, yes, it's disappointing, but actually, I can kind of see their reasoning, and I don't think just using the argument of, well, they're ignoring 230 million devices is necessarily capturing their audience.
I think the interesting thing here is there were very strong rumours that there was actually a universal app in development.
Yeah. I mean,
and quite a way into development.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong; it is really disappointing because it's the one app for me.
I mean, the thing I'm sort of kind of hearing is that they're changing a bit direction in what they're doing, in that they've got the Amazon Echo has taken a bit of their market in the States, and they've sort of reacted to that by sort of almost going, "Oh, we need to reproduce what the Echo does, and build that into our apps." And I'm not sure that's a very good approach for them, to be honest. But it would be something that might be difficult with the current implementation of the APIs and the UWP apps. So I could see that might be a challenge, and maybe they decided to spend their resources on the iOS and Android apps for that. But as I say, I'm not sure that's the right approach for them.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they laid off a lot of staff, didn't they? And they mentioned that they're kind of refocusing. So
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's never say never, isn't it? But I mean, the desktop app is just so horrible for touch. It wouldn't be quite so bad if it was a bit like Office, where it was multi-purposed and had like a touch mode. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's not like the short of options, is that they could port the Win32 app, they could port the iPhone app or the iPad app. It's all doable, but I think there are background issues, aren't there? Like you said about they've restructured slightly and got rid of a lot of people, and maybe that this is just something they can't handle at the moment for other reasons other than technical or market share reasons.
Yeah. And you can also, imagine, trying to get funding within a company is always difficult, and they're always going to be internally battling that argument. Well, we've already got an app for Windows. It's not like there isn't. It's not this is complete black hole in terms of the Windows ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got a solution, and unless something significantly changes, and we, as Windows and Microsoft people, we do hope that there is this big takeoff of the Windows App Store, which might even lead to a rekindling of interest in Windows 10 Mobile. But for the moment, I don't think it's there. So
there is a nice third-party app actually that there's a few third-party apps, I should say, for Sonos for the phone. But you can now get Phonos is one of the third-party apps, and it's one I used to use, and I started using FS Controller. But Phonos has now got a universal app, so you can get that on the PC as well, and it's a bit more touch-friendly.
Yeah, I have tried using Phonos. My only kind of gripe about it is that it's not very pretty, if you know what I mean. It's definitely function over form, which
is that the old version or the newer version though, Jace? Because the new version is a bit prettier.
Right, I'm with you.
A
bit. Yeah, I did.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have something than nothing. But sometimes it's not difficult to write a nice app. It just seems a bit cold to me.
Yes, I understand what you mean. It is form over function, or no, function over form, isn't it?
Yeah. Although probably not in the case of the UWP app, because it's still a work in progress.
It's still early days, yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's great that someone's taken up that kind of taking up the baton and running with it, and maybe that will help to show Sonos actually there is interest.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing is there is a Sonos API. I wonder if Microsoft could implement Sonos within Groove.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that Groove works on Sonos. So why can't? So if Sonos could work in Groove, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that someone needs to go and have a word with them and get this working. I mean,
yeah. And bring ultraviolet support, but that's movies, not music.
Yeah.
That is perhaps another reason why the devices like the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book are so important to Microsoft. But for that exact reason, Jason, it was saying that if you're selling a high-end product and you expect your users to have a certain type of device, so maybe if you would expect them to have an iPhone or iPad or something like that, where now there's high-end Windows devices now, so that you can also expect people to have good quality Windows devices as well. So it's very important that I think that the Surface range has raised the bar for Windows to make, so it is something that is a high-end show-off device, as well as what was traditionally the iPads. Now the iPads are a bit more common, and maybe it's iPad Pro. You use that to show off your wealth. But now a Surface Book can do that just as well.
Yeah, well, it blue screens installing updates.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the third-party app is available, and you can give that a try. So have a look at that. Gary, I did try and test. I tried to send you a text message from my Surface, but I don't think it's gone through. I've just checked. In the settings app, there is that option, even though I've got the version 2 one.
Yeah, nothing here yet. So
yeah, but the SIM is in my 950.
Yeah,
which isn't on the Redstone, so I guess I'd have to sort of SIM for it to work anyway. Although in the chat room, Holdy Boy said it's not working anyway, so I won't bother swapping the SIM just yet. But it's a good idea. It'd be nice when it works. I don't know what. So Brandon there is using version messaging 3.16, and I'm using 2 point something, and I'm on the Redstone release, and there's no app updates in store. So, but it does. The setting is there anyway.
Maybe it's a US only release. Bane of my life.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. So there was a few other apps I want to mention. Oh yeah, so Jason, you alluded to blue screening issues. What's this about for Surface owners?
So they, I think it was yesterday, released new firmware updates for the Surface Book, the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Pro 3, although the Surface Pro 3 update I've been yet to be offered.
Yeah, me neither.
Which isn't, because actually, just focus on the Surface Pro 3 for a moment. The actual update addresses stability issues when using the Surface dock, and I think you might have heard me mention a few times that I've had blue screens with my Surface Pro 3 after mentioning how brilliantly it was working.
Yes.
I should learn to keep on. Yeah, but after we finish recording the show, because I have it docked at home when we do that. And a few times I've come back to kind of get it in the morning, and it's blue, and it's restarted. And when I look through the event logs, I can see that it's blue screen. So it's interesting that these are specifically to address stability when docked, particularly when using an external monitor, which is what I use at home. So hopefully, when I finally do get offered it, it will install, and that will fix that problem. But yeah, they also released quite a number of fixes within firmwares for the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book, but unfortunately, people seem to be having a massive issue actually trying to get them installed with blue screens, which is never a good thing. I think Microsoft responded saying that they're aware of the issue, that it seems to affect each device differently, although it is something that's fixed in the Redstone build. So you would think if that was a fix, they might have thought to roll that fix out to the release preview.
Blue screened everybody's device. Yeah.
And I think joking aside, it's unfortunate when these things happen, but it's even more unfortunate when the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4 have had a bad start to their life as well. It really doesn't instill confidence in a device that costs, £2,500.
Yeah. And I think they just started to get there with the stability, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think they just started to restore people's confidence. And
yeah.
And I've been there with Windows PCs. You do get to that point where you just kind of lose trust, and you're always checking or you kind of end up working a certain way because if you do something, it's going to make it crash. So you work around it, and then you actually realise months later actually it was fixed, and you don't need to do what you've been doing. But yeah,
the list of changes are pretty big, aren't they? I mean, just looking at the Surface Pro 4 release notes, and there's controller firmware and UEFI updates and graphics driver, audio driver, controller logic, camera logic, IR sensors. It was a huge amount of changes, and I think the Surface Book as well also gets a similar large amount of updates as well. A huge amount of changes to these things. The Surface Pro 3, like you said, just gets the dock changes. But I suppose these are devices that need the fixes the most. But it's just a shame when it blue screens it. And is there an easy fix, or is it a bit of troubleshooting when you get this problem?
Yeah, and it's literally a case of going through the install log, because each device is having a different driver causing the blue screen. So I think there's a few sites. I think a Paul Thurrott's old site, Supersite, Richard Hayes, I think got a workaround to it, but it really is a case of investigating each your own device to find out what that workaround is.
That's a real pain, isn't it? So, and it's is the blue screen during the update process?
It is, yeah.
And of course, the new world of updates, you can't say, well, leave that one and do the others. It just does one at a time, doesn't it? Sequentially, you've no control over it.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
That's that's one of the biggest issues, I think, with the style of Windows Update. Normal, when everything's working fine, there's no issues. But then you get a problem like I had with that C++ installer. You know, everything just gets bottlenecked behind the one problem update. Which, incidentally, I know I talked about how I fixed it last week. It's been fine since then as well. So the fix was to uninstall the update completely, and then it just reinstalled it via Windows Update. I've had a similar machine, or not a similar. I've had a tricky error with my Windows 10 machine at work that I was using, where it would no longer install any drivers or Windows updates. They'd all fail. Some would work, but nearly everything failed. And it took me a long while to figure out what it was. And I was having blue screens with the network driver, and there was a new driver available. So I just did, update driver, and it just wouldn't do it. And it just kept saying can't update the driver. So I then tried, which is a bit of a fateful mistake, uninstalling the driver, which it allowed me to do, but then it wouldn't allow me to install a replacement driver. So I just completely knackered the Wi-Fi on my laptop. So I had to plug LAN cable in, which that works fine, but no drivers will install at all at the moment in the current state. And it's turned out when I've gone through it, I've used I don't know if you've used this tool before, the DISM. I think it's for
DISM.
Yeah, DISM, which is used for distributing Windows for corporate networks, really, isn't it? That's its images and things. So using the DISM tool, I could see that there were pending updates and pending restarts, and something was failing every time. And it turned out, using this DISM tool, and there's a system check, and if you can use SFC as well to check that, that there was a problem with the signature on an OpenCL file in the Windows SXS folder. So that is the cached installers, isn't it? I think that's the cache files. So drivers you're not currently using that get stored in there. And there was a problem with the signature on it. And for whatever reason, every time it tried to do anything, it would fail because of this bad file. But I don't know why, but it would then just go and get the file from Windows Update. So I spent ages on this because I wanted to fix it rather than just reinstall Windows. And it turns out the one way of using it is the DISM tool, and there's a recovery option to repopulate the corrupt files. And I had to use a WIM file, which is a Windows image file, which you have to get the ISO, mount the ISO, find the ESD file, convert the ESD file into a WIM file. And theoretically, you can do it from the ESD file, but there seemed to be some kind of bug with the command line that was doing that. So anyway, finally this afternoon, I've managed to fix it, but it just shows you can get into a mess with this installer and these installed states. And my Windows install was in a bad state, and it wouldn't then do any Windows updates or any driver updates. Now, I haven't tested it to see whether it's actually fixed it, but it has fixed this issue. I think really another fix would have just been to install Windows over the top of Windows, which would probably fix it anyway. But that's not always guaranteed to work as well. But it just shows you when you get in these states, you get in these bad states, it's a real pain and difficult to resolve.
Yes, yeah, it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you think it's just a bit like the Windows update that had, not the Windows Store, when the Mail app wouldn't download because it had half downloaded it and got corrupted. Surely the Windows knows that there's a problem. You just delete the cache file and then just bring a new set of data down. Why make the user go through the hoops and give them a 0x message?
Yeah, particularly when, many Windows users just don't have that technical expertise.
Yeah, I mean, this for me became a mission because my colleagues at work were laughing at me and saying, "Why just reinstall Windows?" I said, "I don't want to. I want to fix it." But many people wouldn't have the patience that I had to fix it all the time, or the inclination, or whatever. So, there needs to be a better way, I think, for Windows to be able to know it's in a bad state and just go off and get what it needs. Because it had LAN access, you could get on the internet and you could download the drivers. There was no problem with that. So I'm sure it could download a new OpenCL file from the Windows repository and just fix it. But, well, I'll let you know next week whether it actually fixed it. What else have we got? Yes, so that was all the main item of news. We've got a new version of Media Portal if you wanted to check that out.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Nice.
That's a nice system, actually. Between that and VLC, I think Media Portal actually though is probably a richer environment, isn't it? Because it's a proper Windows.
Yeah, I mean, it's built and designed and from the ground up for Windows, so
it's got TV tuner support and a bit of a replacement for Media Center, really.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yeah. I still get a lot of hits on the article about Windows Media Center in Windows 10. So there's, although the sort of the controversies died down, there are still a lot of people looking for it. Well, so I think that was all the news items I had this week. So, two phone bills to talk about. One not so successful for me, and now I'm very much enjoying my release preview ring on this 950. It's rock solid.
Yes, I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier today, but Lumia Voices have offered me a Lumia 950 to trial.
Oh, that's really good.
Yes, so hopefully that should be in the next couple of days. So it'd be really interesting to kind of contrast that with the 950 XL, because I know Gary's mentioned that there is a slight difference between the two in terms of processor, and so yeah, it'd be just interesting to compare, because it really was the size that kind of put me off the 950 XL, which I know you find most most disturbing.
Yeah, perfect size for me then. Yeah, I really after having reset this over the weekend on Sunday, I was out at Silverstone all day taking photos, tweeting, looking at live timing, video clips. Absolutely no problem with battery life. I think it had some like 50%, after a full day at the trackside. It worked really well. And I don't think you'll get that many Android phones that'll do that, to be honest. I've seen friends S6 now, which I know is a year old now, but his is like 20% by 5 o'clock during the day, and he's having to top it up and things. So the 950X are working really well on that.
That's good.
Yeah, and a very, very enjoyable time I had at Silverstone as well. Did you see, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Did you see that I was watching qualifying, Formula 1 qualifying on Saturday, and that Ferrari are now using the 950 XL?
Oh, yeah, there's some publicity about that in the week as well, and they've been doing that. Perfect device for them.
Yeah, I couldn't find any publicity about it. I did see a couple of sites mentioned it. I wish I'd done a post about it now, but I just tweeted the picture. In fact, funny enough, to tweet that picture, it took me about an hour because none of my devices would, because I was on the 950 XL with the Redstone, so I couldn't share pictures out. And then I went to do it on my Encore, and the on-screen keyboard doesn't work on Redstone. So I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, Redstone's a nightmare. At the moment, I know we discussed this, but the quality assurance of Redstone is a bit of a nightmare at the moment, but I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah. So anyway, I saw them. They've got the 950 in like a dock on the side of the monitor that they use when the driver's sat in the pits. You know, so you see the driver sat in the pits.
You mean like a continuum dock?
Yeah, it could be. It seemed like a little nice slot, but I wonder what they were using it for. I couldn't find any information about it, and it never really showed it. And why Microsoft aren't making a bigger deal out of this, I have no idea. You know, this is okay. I know that Microsoft are US centric, but if you're you know, European, or even even a lot of Formula One fans in the States, aren't they? But you know, an iconic team like Ferrari using a 950 for a reason. There must be a reason. It's not a marketing thing, because Lumia have done some marketing with Roman Grosjean when he was at Lotus, and he's now at Haas. So there must be a reason why they're using it, for some technical reason, unless, you know, Sebastian Vettel particularly likes the 950. Maybe he does, and maybe they built a custom dock for him. I don't know, but there's got to be some reason why they're using that. And if they're using it for telemetry or anything like that, or just
it's got to be huge news if that's in that case, and it's a really good use case. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think got a feeling I know maybe why, because I know they did use a lot of .NET stuff in their telemetry. Going way back, so,
right?
I'm guessing that's just an extrapolation of that, and then maybe it's easy to port their apps across to it. But very interesting, and be interesting to see how they've done that.
Yeah, so I hope we'll see a case study like that, because that's
really cool.
That's got to be good news that for Microsoft to get their technology on there. So so that's about all we've got time for this week. So Gary, you're going to be away for a few weeks.
I am, yes. I'm off to Xamarin Evolve, so I'll be able to tell you all the news coming out of the Xamarin camp with the Microsoft takeover.
Does this mean you're going to be dressing like a hipster for a few weeks?
Yeah, I'll go and meet James. Yeah, the hipster himself. But it's going to be great fun. There's a lot of good stuff going on out there. Some really interesting talks and things. Get to see the Woz, because he's turning up at the end of the event. So it's going to be a good event, and probably a lot of news coming out of there. So hopefully I'll be able to bring some of that information back. I better do, because I've got to do a talk on it for Microsoft at some point. But there we go. So I'm going to be away doing that. In the meantime, there's fascinating tech to read with its free offer of a free copy of website X5 Home to every reader, including anybody listening to this show. Just go across the site with the link I sent Ian last week. You can just download and wait. That's about, it's a few dollar version value. It is a full version. It's not the trial version they're giving away on their site, so worth doing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I actually wanted to pick up on this week, because they're both sort of like fundraising in their last throes of fundraising, or just starting out. But there's one which would have saved my life over the weekend. I lost my wallet at the weekend. I did actually eventually find it, but it fallen out of my pocket down the side of my card seat. But there's a company called Wistiki we've reviewed before, Fascinating Tech, who do iBeacon style trackers. And trackers up to now have been a bit, I don't know, they're definitely that form usage over experience. They haven't really been particularly pretty things, but they've actually teamed up with Philippe Stark, the designer, to come up with 3 new designs which look a bit more attractive, and they actually got specific use cases for them. One of which is a credit card side where you can slide in your wallet, so when you drop your wallet you can track it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
And they've also got sort of a crowd source tracking service where you can report your device lost, and then anybody else who's running the Wistiki app who happens to come into close contact with it will report back to you anonymously that you've actually been tracked and where it is, which is kind of cool, because most of these tracking units are very short range tracking. They don't do full long range GPS or anything like that. So having that is quite a good idea. So I'll send you a link for that one, because that's crowdfunding at the moment. It needs to get a few more pledges. It's 15 days left. It's about halfway through its target. So that was quite a good one. The other thing we were talking about photography on cameras and things, and I came across this thing earlier, which I thought was quite a clever idea. It's basically a shell at the moment for an iPhone, but they are talking about being able to put other phones into it, which turns it into the same look and feel as a DSLR. So it's got the sort of like grip. So it reminds me a lot of the old Lumia 1020 grip.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So, but with just that sort of more generically available for other things. And I thought, that's quite a cool idea because it's quite a good way. Again, they're looking for backing. They're a bit further earlier in their stage, so maybe a while before they get there. But I always liked that grip for the iPhone and for the 1020. So it'd be nice to have it for other things as well. I know that, as I said, looking at iPhone and possibly the Galaxy in the first few releases, but it'd be nice, maybe they'll expand it out to 50. Nice cameras.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll include links for the one you send me, and so enjoy your few weeks away.
I will. Yes. So there's plenty of content for people to read on the site while I'm away.
Yeah. So Jason, where can we keep up to date with you?
You can find me on Twitter at DatabaseJace, and also just a final speculation. We talked earlier about the fact that neither myself or you, Ian, have been offered the Surface Pro 3 firmware updates. I'm just wondering, because reading through it actually mentions that it's for the Surface Dock.
Yes.
What I've got is referred to as the docking station, so I'm wondering whether or not it doesn't actually apply to.
Oh, I see. Unless you've actually got it, unless you've got it detected, you haven't got the driver. You don't have the drivers installed for it.
Yes. Yeah.
You could be right. Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Just disappointing because I could do with some fixes.
Yeah, you could do. Well, hopefully we'll have some fixes for next week and maybe a new build. Now, I'm actually away myself on Tuesday, Wednesday next week, so we may have to record Monday or Thursday next week. But I'll speak to you offline about that, Jason, and we'll update it on Twitter. So
but maybe I'll dial in from the States if I get a chance.
Yeah.
if I have decent Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you never know. So until then, go and get your Redstone build, but just don't go and put it on your daily driver.
Yeah.
And how long do you think I'll keep that off? That's the
I'll give you till the next build.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give you a couple of weeks. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you soon. And good luck on your trip, Gary.
Yes. Good luck, Gary. Yeah.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent stuff. Thanks everybody in the chat room.